Welcome. I'm Jay Shear with Jay Shear Business Consulting. We build solid foundations for service-based businesses to grow and scale. And you've joined Business Minds Coffee Chat. Viktor Frankl said, when we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. So what does it take to rise up, overcome obstacles, transform, grow, and thrive? On this episode, we're going to be sharing some practical tools and strategies to do just that in your life and business. Our guest lives the adage that your past doesn't define your future. He's a husband to one and a father to 8. He grew up in a challenging situation, was in and out of jail 17 times, burned bridges and relationships, and found himself homeless and broken and attempted suicide. Fortunately, his story didn't end there. He created a new chapter and went on to become an expert in the automotive industry, leading a dealership through massive growth and becoming the second largest used car dealership in the U.S. Today, he has the honor and privilege of working with over 45 dealerships nationwide to help them achieve similar results while also positively impacting countless lives. Please welcome the voice and face behind the wildly popular morning show and movement, #Rise and Grind, Glenn Lundy. Glenn, welcome.
My goodness, Jay, that was awesome, man. Just sitting back, listening to that intro. I appreciate that. That was incredible.
Glenn, you are so welcome. Researching you has just been an absolute pleasure. I mean, trying to grasp the ups and downs and the different seasons of life that you've been through, right? But coming through that and where you stand today, it is fantastic. And I'm grateful for you being here. I'm honored, and I'm looking forward to digging into your story.
Hey, thank you, man. Yes, I'm very grateful as well, and truly appreciate you sharing your time and your space. And for those of you that are listening in, I appreciate you as well.
Fantastic. So we learn valuable lessons through pain. What was the turning point in your life? And if you would, could you walk us through your self-discovery process?
Yeah. So, multiple turning points. I'm kind of hard-headed, very stubborn at sometimes. So even in my wake-up moments, I wish I could just say, everything snaps and comes together. But that's not really how it went for me. I had to fall on my face multiple times before I realized I should probably put my hands out next time and catch myself. And so, there was a season that you mentioned earlier of homelessness, which led to hopelessness, which led to a deep depression, which ultimately led me to want to end my life. Really felt like I'd be doing a service to the rest of the world if I would remove myself from it. And so with that attempt, that failed attempt, thankfully, clearly a failed attempt. And with that failed attempt, I had this revelation. So I attempted to, I'm not a very good swimmer. So I swam out into the Pacific Ocean off of the cliffs there in La Jolla, California, beautiful place. And my thought process was swim out as far as possible and you won't be able to make it back. And so I attempted that right when I thought it was going to be the end. And right as I went under, my feet hit the ground, and it turned out that the tide was coming in as I was trying to swim out, and I wasn't a strong enough swimmer to get out past the tide. And so as I rolled back up kind of on the beach, deflated, very deflated, here I was failing at this as well on top of everything else in my life. And so as I laid there, I kind of had this, this moment as I was looking up at the stars and seeing how big and expansive the universe is. I kind of had some clarity with this idea that, hey, Glenn, no matter what city you lived in, no matter what environment you were in, there was only one thing that's been a constant in all of the negative aspects of your life, and that's you. Like, I take myself wherever I go. And prior to that, I definitely felt as though I was a victim. I had a very victim mentality. But that clarity there kind of shifted something in me. It said, okay, wait a minute. If I am the catalyst for all the bad, well, does that has to mean that I can be a catalyst for positive and good, right? Like, I'm responsible for the result. It's not anyone else. It's no one else's decisions. It's mine and solely mine.
Mm-hmm.
And so that particular revelation really sent me down a path where I started to explore self. I wanted a better understanding of self. And in my studies of self, I came to an understanding of the spiritual side of self, what I call the third dimension. So I was living a 2D life, mind and body. If it looked good and it felt good, I was in, right? And that shifted to a 3-dimensional mind, body, and spirit. And so that discovery and kind of the journey that unfolded after that is one of the defining moments for me, where I shifted from a victim to a catalyst for greatness versus a catalyst for negativity.
That's an incredible shift. And many times in life, we have mentors or coaches, or we come across a book that just resonates with us, that connects on a very deep level, or something that a mentor or coach shares with us, or, sometimes through therapy as well. So that clarity that you spoke about, where did that come from? Was there someone that entered your life at that very moment? Was there a message, something that you read? Can you point to it?
No, it really was in the aftermath of that situation, being at the lowest point of my life. Some might say it was God. Others might just say the universe. Like, I literally just laid there and felt the expansiveness. I felt the presence of something bigger than self. I felt it just kind of washed over me. Like, here, I've been searching for answers, and the answers within. It's not, no one else is going to solve this problem for me. And within that, I also realized how small my problems actually were in comparison to how big the opportunities are that exist in this universe. So, from there were a lot of people that kind of helped me along the way. Immediately after that next day, there was a woman who came up to me on the beach, and she was like, she had this Dianetics book. And she was like, hey, this is Dianetics. Do you know anything about the subconscious mind and the conscious mind? And I was like, I don't have a clue. And she was like, come with me, and threw me in her car and took me to the Orange County Church of Scientology, where I started learning about the mind and the different components of the mind. And there were some people there at the church that took in people like me off the streets and offered them a place to stay. And they gave me a job at the church, making $4 a week or whatever the heck it was. And they just kind of folded me into that environment. And so I spent the next 6 months really deep diving and trying to get an understanding of how my mind works, certain triggers in my mind, why I react in certain ways, why my behaviors are what they were, this victim mentality, where that came from, how to eradicate that. And ultimately, through Scientology, they helped me get an understanding of the spiritual side, because they have something they call a thetan, which we would call the soul. Okay. And as I started learning more about that, like, it started opening my eyes to, okay, well, wait a minute, we are 3-dimensional, not 2. And so fast forward a little bit, Scientology wasn't the path for me. We reached a point where it was kind of like, this is not my jam. And so I kind of left Scientology after 6 months, No hard feelings. I still have a lot of friends that are Scientologists, and I love them dearly. But I left that just wasn't really a fit. And so that led me to start really diving into other religions, Buddhism and different things, and Christianity. And then for me, my personal path, I was able to get closer to the spiritual side of self through Christianity. The Bible worked really well for me, the stories of Jesus, and so on and so forth. And so that's where my path kind of started to take off, as I started to get a better understanding of that spiritual side through the Holy Bible itself.
Interesting. It's remarkable when we come across some sort of foundation that speaks to us, whatever it is, right? Whether it's religion, whether it's self-improvement, genre, any of those things. But when that happens and you start to see that transformation take place, your eyes are just so wide open, and opportunities start to present themselves where before they were closed off because you just weren't, you didn't see them, right?
No doubt.
And so it sounds like one of the things that you absolutely achieved was perspective, right? Being able to see things through a different set of lens and different optics. And so it's an amazing process that you went through. And thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely.
Yeah. So in the work that I do with clients, I am a strong advocate for having a roadmap for success in business. So you use a success formula yourself. Could you tell us about that and the impact that it's had?
Yeah, absolutely, man. So I believe if we can change the way you start your day, it'll make a massive impact in your life. This is a philosophy that I apply to my businesses. When I'm working with business owners, we look at how they start their day, right? How does your company start its day? How are your employees starting their day? Also, as far as on the personal side, what does it look like for you as an individual? How do you start your day? So I have a stone cold system that I've been living by for years that's been very fruitful for me, as well as many that I've taught, thousands of people that we've shared the system with over the years. And we call it the Morning Five simple steps to an extraordinary life. And I actually have a short ebook about it. If anybody wants to download it, it's free. You can go to themorning5.com. And those 5 simple steps, I'll just kind of give you the brief of them if you'd like, Jay.
Please.
So step 1 is never hit the snooze button. That would be step 1. And there's a lot of science behind why the snooze button is like, it's like the devil, man. It sells you 10 minutes of extra sleep for this lie that you'll feel more rested, but it actually does the exact opposite. So never hitting the snooze button is 1. Number 2 is do not touch your phone first thing in the morning. There is nothing in there. I promise you, there's nothing in that phone that can't wait. Nothing. Your emails, your text messages, social media, the news. If you had a distant relative that passed away last night and you need to know about that, they're not going to care that you found out an hour later in the morning, right? There's no rush.
Truth.
They're going to be okay, right? It's okay. And so there's just nothing in there. See, we have to build ourselves foundationally first before we can go out into the world and allow other people to come into our mind and into our space and affect our energy. So a solid foundation is key. So step 2, do not touch your phone first thing in the morning until you've gone through these other steps first. Okay. Step 3 is gratitude, writing down the things that you're thankful for, and goals, writing down your goals. Now, I know that sounds like 2 steps, right? Write down your gratitude, write down your goals. But I consider that 1 step because I think that many of books, many of successful people, many of videos, they've missed 1 key component. So everybody's heard you have to write down your goals, right? Jay, you've probably heard that a million times.
Absolutely.
You have to write down your goals. Writing down goals solely can actually give you a feeling of less than. It can create a negative energy and vibe within you. If I wake up and I'm immediately writing like, I wish I had a better relationship. I wish I had a bigger house. I wish I had more money, right? Where it can almost make you feel as though what you've done and accomplished up to this point is not valuable. And we're only focused on what we can gain. And so I believe we start with gratitude. I am thankful for my relationships. I am thankful for my financial situation. I am thankful for the home that I live in. I am stretching my relationship. I am stretching my financial position. I am stretching my home or my car, or whatever it is that you want to gain as a goal. But when we start from a place of gratitude for what you've accomplished and how far you've come, that's a completely different energy. It's a whole different vibe, man. It's a positive vibe going into those goals. And therefore, it's like jet fuel. It really, truly can help you reach and achieve those at a faster pace and with a more gracious pace, so less anxiety, less fear, less doubt. So that's step 3.
Okay.
Step 4 is we take care of the physical. So an object in motion tends to stay in motion. An object at rest tends to stay at rest. So we got to get you moving. I don't care if you're crawling, you're walking, you're dancing, you're golfing, you're playing basketball, you're lifting weights, you're running, whatever works for you. Let's get moving. Get the heart rate up, get the blood flowing. It helps with your energy, all of those different things. So now those first 4 steps have been all about you, Jay, right? You're not hitting snooze. You're not touching your phone. You're not talking to anybody. You're all about gratitude and the things that you want to achieve in your life. You're taking care of yourself physically. Step 5 is the key. This is what pulls it all together. So step 5 is I need you to send out an encouraging message. You are now vibrating at this powerful frequency. Foundationally, you're so strong. And the way that energy works is energy cannot be created. It can only be converted. So it never dissipates. It never goes away. It just converts to something else. So when you release that positive energy out into the universe, it has no choice but to not only impact and affect the people around you, but ultimately come back to you in some type of converted form that will affect you positively as well. So that is our foundational steps that I do every single morning that I teach. We shift them just a little bit for businesses, right? It's a little bit different. We can't get everybody out there running a 10K at 8:30 in the morning or anything like that. But foundationally, those are the 5 steps to my system that have really helped catapult me to a different level.
Love that. Fantastic. So
Thanks.
we're going to talk about rise and grind, but the impetus for that, does that play right into that success formula, being that number 5, getting that message out and using that energy in the right way?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Okay. Wonderful. And we're going to spend a couple minutes talking about that here momentarily, but let's go back to what you just said a moment ago about adapting a bit toward a business situation. So in a business, they may not get up and dance or jog around the building, but what would be a specific action that you would ask a business to take? So if you're coaching a business right now and you're walking them through those 5 steps, what can they do?
Yeah, so I believe in this process called LEAD, right? LEAD with 2 Ds, okay? And so as a business, typically, especially in the automotive world, what I see is our employees trickle in at maybe 5 minutes after, maybe 5 minutes before, whenever whatever they're supposed to be at work, they roughly show up at that time. They come in with no real direction. They're immediately looking to go grab breakfast or have a conversation over at the water cooler about playing whatever video games all night or drinking or whatever the heck they were doing, right? And so we want to look at that. It immediately relates to the no snooze button, right? No snooze means like, okay, we're not going to hit the button and delay getting into productivity. We're going to start right away. Mm-hmm. So I suggest every company start every single day at the same time with what I call the perfect meeting, and then follow this LEAD process. So we're able to hit all of these notes that we just talked about in that morning 5. So step 1 is make sure everybody's on time, right? No snooze button, right? That's number 1. Number 2, we want to remove the outside distractions. So we don't want everybody on their phones. We don't want everybody, doing the gossiping or talking about what's on the news or any of that stuff. We want to remove that from that environment. And the way we do that is we just take the lead. So a great leader needs to be the first one in the room. I know a lot of managers that like to have a morning meeting, and once everybody's in there, then they pop through the door like they're the king of the echelon or whatever,
Sure.
and snap everybody together, and then they go right into their powerful, motivational, kicking everybody in the teeth type speech. And so I believe a great leader's got to be the first one in the room, and we follow the L in lead, which is listen. I just want you to use your ears at first. What are your people talking about, right? Let's have some conversations with them 15, 20 minutes before the meeting starts as people are walking into the room. We've got somebody who maybe they have a sick relative. Maybe they're battling with the COVID stuff right now. Maybe they stayed up too late drinking last night. You might hear that. Or maybe there's a relational issue. Maybe there's a financial issue. There's a lot of things we can find out if we're the first one in the room and we use our listening ears before we immediately go into educating. Okay. Now, I also like to set the tone, and I suggest people do so, some type of positive music, right? Not, we don't want heavy metal. We don't want Megadeth, nothing against that stuff. But my object is not to get these guys to go out there and kill the customers, right? I want them in a very positive mood. So we use positive music, usually stuff without lyrics, just something that's real uptone. So that's creating that energy that we could also create out on a run or so on and so forth. We're working on that physical energy as well. So I'm sorry, I'm kind of going a couple other places, but we want to lead. So the L in lead is listen. We do that first. Once our meeting starts, we go to the E in lead, which is encourage. So now I want you to encourage your people for the behaviors that you're doing that you want them to do more of. If somebody got a great Google review, then let's put it up on the screen and let's all celebrate that Google review. Boom, great job, Jay, way to go, you got a Google review. If somebody went out of their way to help one of their fellow employees, great job, Jay, way to go out of your way and help out Chris the other day. If somebody's performing well volume-wise, great job, Jay, way to go, you're kicking butt on volume, we really appreciate you. Whatever we want more of, whatever behavior we want more of, we want to celebrate that in those meetings in front of their peers. We're encouraging them, which falls in line with gratitude, right? Same thing. So we're showing gratitude for our employees, and we're helping them get that feeling first thing in the morning. So we listen, then we encourage. Now, once we've done that, we've earned the right to advise. And I want to be very clear about this, because most managers advise immediately, right? They go in, you did this wrong, you did this wrong, you did this wrong, this is what you need to do, this is what you need. Well, you haven't earned that right yet. Not till you've listened to me, you've encouraged me and empowered me. If you do those two things, now you can go to the A in lead, which is advise, and I will listen to you. I will appreciate you. I will try to mold and shape myself to give you more of what you're looking for, because you listened to me and because you encouraged me. So the A in lead is advise. We step into that, and now you have the right to be like, bro, you guys, you were supposed to lock up the building last night. You didn't. What's going on with that? This is our house, man. I need you to take care of this place. Like, I take care of it. Why don't you take care of it, right? We got a bad review. Let's put it up on the screen and let's talk about it. What did we do wrong? What were the steps here? How could we have avoided this? You've earned the right to do that. So listen, encourage, advise, and then the first D, I put 2 Ds on the word lead. So the first D is develop. So now that I've advised you on areas of opportunity and growth, I have a responsibility as a leader to develop you in those areas. You should walk away from every morning meeting knowing something you did not know going in. I should be educating you, growing you, leveling you up, all of those things. You deserve that. And in order for me to earn the title of leader, I should be providing that for you always. Telling you what to do and sending you out to struggle is not an effective leader. Developing you in the areas of opportunity and growth is what true leaders do. So we listen, we encourage, we advise, and we develop. And then I put another D on the end. Daily. Every single day you've got to do this, whether somebody's been with you a year or 5 years or 10 years, whether it's a Saturday or a Tuesday or whatever. Every single day, as a business, if you start your meetings and you follow that process, listen, encourage, advise, and develop, and you do it every single day, you will move mountains in your business. Mountains.
Fantastic. Again, thank you for sharing that. So that that formula that you use, is that what became the baseline to being able to completely transform the dealership you were working for at the time and that you were leading, to see 800% growth that you did
Yeah.
in a 5-year period?
Yeah, absolutely, man. 100%. You see, it's interesting when you have a great morning routine for your people or for your business, they start to make, well, a couple things happen, but one is they start to make better decisions at night, right? They're like, okay, I can't just show up a little hungover or bedraggled. Like, I've got to be fresh tailed and bushy eyed because he's going to be right there in my face calling me out, right? They start to perform at a higher level because they know that you're gonna pop their good reviews up on the screen and everybody's gonna clap and cheer and celebrate. So just by taking that 30 minutes a day, or if you can do it in 20, do it in 20. But just by taking that time every day, you can really truly extract greatness out of your people, and that's what grows business. Business growth has nothing really to do with obviously, you have to have quality products and quality prices, and you have to be able to deliver value. But true growth comes through your people. Grow your people, grow your business. Simple as that.
Yes, such an important point. And I'm so glad that you said it the way that you did and you put the emphasis on it, because, so many businesses are looking for that magic bullet, right? What is that hack? Well, there is no shortcut, but where it all starts is with people. It starts with us, and it starts with the people that we surround ourselves with. So that's so well said. And in the business that you operate in, it is a very crowded space, and you flipped that industry on its head and completely changed the business model, which is remarkable, that led to the type of growth that you saw in that business, and having that particular dealership become the number 2 used car dealership in the United States. So let's talk about the people development for a moment, but give some of if you could unpack some of the other areas where you transformed that industry and looked at the competitive landscape and said, we need to do things differently in order for us to thrive, grow, and just blow up what we're doing.
Yeah, no doubt, man. So I have 2 seasons in the auto industry. I have a season where I spent 8 years at a Nissan Subaru dealership where my career grew, but the company never did. It's minimal growth, if any growth at all, over the period of 8 years that I was there. Fast forward, went through my whole, all of that, my revelations and all of that. Fast forward, I got back into the auto industry in January of 2011. And at that time, I still blamed the automotive industry for a lot of the issues that I had that led me to being homeless, that led me to all of those things. And so when going back into the industry in 2011, the mindset was, okay, I've done this before and it was awful, and I'm not about to go through this again. So if I'm going to be in the auto industry, which I happen to be very good at, right? So if I'm going to be in the auto industry, I'm not going to let the industry change me. I'm going to make an impact on the industry. So the only way I knew how to do that is I had to literally sit down and write out what is everything I hated as an employee in the auto industry, and what is everything I know consumers hate about buying a car, right? And so asking those 2 questions and making those 2 lists, I went in with the mentality, okay, I started as a salesperson and was like, I have to get myself into a position of power so that I can start to inflict change on these key areas. I've got to change everything I hated as an employee and change everything consumers hate about buying a car. So once I got into power, it was really just 180 degrees opposite, right? Like, it's really easy. Like, if you touch a fire, your finger gets burned. Don't touch a fire, right? If you work your sales guy 70 hours a week, he gets burned out. Don't work your sales guy 70-hour week. Like, it was really that simple. Like, these are the things that don't work, so let's do the opposite. And so we put our people first. We flipped it up. We just had to flip the whole business model upside down. Most people, when they go into business, they're like, I want money, right? I want some money. How can I make some money? And then they create a product or something that they can sell. And once they start figuring out that they can sell the product, then they go, okay, I need more customers so I can make more money. So then they try to get more customers. And then once they get more customers, they're like, I need some people so they can handle more customers so that I can make more money, right? Everything's money driven. So we flipped that upside down. I'm like, how can I serve my people? Because if I can get great people, then those great people are going to draw in more customers, and those customers will draw in more dollars. So flip it around, people first. I've heard that old adage forever, like the customer's always right, right? I've heard that a million times. I don't
Sure.
believe that. Dude, my people, those are my people. Like if a customer treats my people bad, you better believe I'm going to stand behind my person before I'm ever going to stand behind my customer. When it came to a financial decision, should we or should we not, it always came down to what's in the best interest for my people, right? Like, and my customers, right? We'll think people, then we'll think customers, then we think profits. Profit was the last thing on the list, and therefore profit became probably the thing that grew the most, because we didn't use it to make decisions. We used our people to make decisions and our customers to make decisions, and that's how we were able to grow.
Incredible. So when you hired new employees, new team members, was it your preference to hire someone who already had experience, or would you prefer to hire someone and be able to train them up from ground zero?
Yeah, so in leadership positions, we only hired from within. I should say a little bit later. In the very first stages, I had to get some key managers, key leaders in positions that had experience and skill sets. Like when we started to launch into the subprime world to be able to help customers with challenged credit, I had to get somebody that knew that world, because we just didn't have that at that point in time. I mean, we started with 40 employees total. We had over 300 after it grew. So initially I had to hire a couple people outside with some experience, but once I got the key people in place in leadership positions, we just made it a rule. If you had more than 2 years experience in any other dealership, you couldn't work for me. I apologize. I love you. You're a great person, all of those good things, but I am looking for people that were going to champion our philosophy and our way of doing things. And it takes a lot of time to eradicate bad habits out of out of somebody who's been in the industry for a really long time. So 2 years was kind of our barometer. Somebody sends me a resume and, they're 4 years in and they're like, I'm the best there ever was. I did this, I did that. I'm like, great, you keep going and doing that. And maybe we'll meet up on the backside. So yeah, pretty much we built it on all inexperienced or very little experienced sales associates that we then trained in our ways and then brought them up into leadership positions as we grew.
Yeah, fantastic. Speak to the importance of core values for a moment. So the core values that you had at the dealership that you grew, and core values in your business today.
So core values are your way of deciding whether to say yes or no. People that don't have clear core values, which I didn't for a very long period of time, when you don't have clear core values, sometimes you can take on too much. You can bring things onto your plate that necessarily shouldn't be there, that aren't moving your company forward. It's things like that. So getting clear on what matters most value-wise to you. What are the non-negotiables? What won't you put up with? What do you know is going to be would be detrimental to your company or to your people? And getting real clear on that just kind of helps sort through the noise. As I'm building as an entrepreneur now and have been for the last 2 years, our 4 core values are our 4 words that we build our company around is rise, evolve, impact, together. So we believe in rising every day with intention and purpose so that we can evolve into the best versions of ourselves and as a company that we can possibly be, ultimately so we can go make an impact in other people's lives, and we do it together. So everything that I build, every product that I sell, Every time a vendor or someone else wants to partner with us or do business with us, if a charitable organization wants us to support or help them, we look at those 4 key words. Does it fall in line? Is it going to help people rise with intention and purpose? If so, then it's a yes. If no, sorry, and that's just not for us. Not that it's not valuable, not that it's not a good thing, but it's just not for us. Is it going to help us evolve as a company and help our customers, our clients, our family is what we call them? Is it going to help them evolve? Then it's a yes. If it doesn't, no. I mean, we just can't do it. Impact is incredibly important. Every decision we make has to make an impact on other people's lives, a positive impact on other people's lives. And then the key word for us is together, man. We do everything together. There's no one in my company will ever feel alone. No one in my group will ever feel alone. No one that watches my show will ever feel alone. We do events where we bring people together. We do offsite stuff all of the time. Even here in my house, I mean, golly, just Sunday dinner, 16 of us sitting around a table,
Nice.
man. Everything is about bringing people together. So in answer to your question, Jay, core values are an incredible tool to help your business get clarity on what to say yes to and what to say no to, which I know a lot of people struggle with that in business.
So true. And it's so powerful as well. That's one of the very first areas that I work with when I'm working with clients. It's a lot of mindset, right? Mm-hmm. But you have to have the core values in place. That is your barometer, to your point, of what we will do, what we will say yes to, and what we will say no to.
That's right.
It ties back to who we hire, who we fire, right? How we motivate. Everything ties back to those core values. So
that's it.
Yeah, very
everything,
powerful. Yeah,
with what we do, especially on a charitable side. So as we grew the dealership, obviously you get bigger and people see that you have money and that you do outreach and things like that. And it got to a point where there was like 20, 30 people a day just going, can you support this? Or can you support this? Can you support that? Can you support this? And you feel like guilty because you can't help them all. But right. How do you choose who to help and who not to help? And so ultimately, when we were able to get real clear, for the dealership itself, it was kids. Man, kids is what that company's all about. The owner has 4 kids. The other owner has 3 kids. I have 7 kids, and so kids were our jam. So when people came to us to support a sports team for kids, or CASA, which is the children that have been abused and whatnot, those types of things, it's like, yeah, 100% we're in. But when it's an elderly organization or a veteran organization, not saying those aren't important, they just weren't our core value. And so those are the things that we could objectively say, we apologize, we'll send our prayers out for you, we wish we could help you financially. However, that doesn't line up with what we're trying to serve. We work in the area of kids. If there's something with kids that you have that you want us to help and support, let us know. We'd be glad to do so.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, man.
So talk about how mindset plays a role today in your life and in your business.
It's everything.
Unpack that for us.
It's everything, man. I am incredibly protective of what goes into my head because I have a full understanding, being in and out of jail, being in just all the situations I've been in my life. I have a full understanding of how what you say to yourself and the words that come out of your mouth, the energy and the impact that they have on your ability to evolve and ultimately be successful. And so I, like right now, as I'm sitting here with you, it looks like, I'm just some guy at his house in a chair. But in reality, on my shoulders is, Eric Thomas is over here, Les Brown is over here, Jim Rohn, John Maxwell, Zig Ziglar, Bob Proctor, all of them, they're all sitting here with me
Mm-hmm.
because they are what has helped me reprogram and shift my mindset through just constant learning and studying, Simon Sinek, all the different things, all the books, all the videos, so on and so forth. So me being in control of my mindset allows me to be most effective when it comes to impacting and having a positive impact in other people's lives. If my mind is jacked up, it trickles into my wife, it trickles into my kids, it trickles into my employees. I mean, it trickles all the way down. I'll give you a good visual for this.
Yeah, please.
So when it comes to our mindset, I like to look at it kind of like a champagne tower, right? So you've got this champagne tower, and I'm sure you've seen those at a wedding or somewhere like that. And you
Sure.
pour the champagne into the top, and it trickles down into every other glass in the tower, right? And it fills them all up, and then at the bottom, it starts to kind of pour out. And that's how it works. So our mind is pretty much the exact same way, right? Everything that's going in, it trickles down and it permeates into every other aspect of our lives. Everything that we touch, everything that we do, it's all permeated. So that champagne bottle that you're pouring in, you want it to be positive, you want it to be clear, you want it to be all of those things so that you can function effectively. Here's the thing though. If I take one little drop of red food coloring and I drop it into that very top glass, it is going to trickle into every other glass in that champagne tower. It's going to flow all the way through. And see, our mind works the exact same way. One piece of negativity, whether it be some negative news, whether it be someone in your circle that's a negative person, that little tiny red drop is going to flush its way through every aspect of your life.
So
it has
true.
no choice but to do so, right? It has no choice. And so I protect my mindset at all times. I don't want any of that red food dye in there. It does get in there sometimes. And when it gets in, just like the champagne tower, there's only one way to get that red dye out of all those glasses. You got to pour more champagne in, man. You got to pour more of the good stuff. You just got to keep pouring the good stuff, and it'll wash that negative stuff out, right? Until that next little red drop comes, and then you pour and you pour and you pour. So I'm playing a game with my mind where I'm constantly on the defense, trying to protect from as many drops of food poisoning, coloring
It
as
is
possible.
poisoning.
It is poisoning. And then on the other side, I'm constantly refilling the glasses.
Man, what a powerful visual. I love that. And it is so very true. And, it's an interesting dichotomy, Glenn, because you, like me, you're very active on social. You have a platform, you have a voice that you use, you have a show, and you are in front of your community every day.
Yeah.
When you're active on social, obviously there's a lot of information coming at you. And we're not going to talk about politics on this show, but clearly we are in a very viral political season, and we see it coming at us all the time, right? So what, and I believe you answered the question, right? It's always putting more of the good stuff in, but because you're so active on social, are you looking at things with I don't want, not rose colored glasses because that's not fair, but do you almost have blinders on where you're hyper focused on the good and on delivering value and on delivering just incredible growth oriented work and content? But how do you block out all the rest of it that's coming at you?
So that whole system is artificial intelligence. It's all controlled by AI. So what you like, what you watch, what you look at, you will get more of. So I'm very, very, very conscious of what I like, what I view, and so on and so forth, because I don't want to get more of it. But also I use the flood, the champagne flooding that top glass. I try to be a catalyst for that for other people, which in turn the AI system feeds me that back, right? It's all energy that's converted. So
Mm.
by me constantly posting positive things, inspirational things, motivational things, educational things, by me constantly putting that out, the system itself actually feeds me that back. So the majority of my feed is positive, is motivation, is education, is inspiration. That's the majority of what I get in my feed. If I find myself going down rabbit holes, which I've done many a times because I'm a student, right? So I accidentally get hooked on the, whatever it is, like I said, we won't get political or anything, but when I find myself going down those rabbit holes, I can very instinctively notice the shift in my energy. Um, I notice a shift in how I am vibrationally and how I'm reacting to my children or how I'm reacting to my wife, so on and so forth. And so that signals me like, okay, tomorrow morning you're getting up a little early. We're going to go a little longer on your morning routine to make sure that we reset this because we've got to wash this out. So for the most part, I just try to get my outputs so positive on the output that what comes back is fairly positive most of the time. And then if I catch myself in that quagmire, I go back to what I know, which is hit the reset button, no snooze, no phone, gratitude and goals, hit the physical, send out an encouraging message, and let's do this all over again.
Perfect. Wonderful. So in today's current climate and in regards to the pandemic, it clearly has impacted everyone. What are you doing differently today that you weren't doing prior to COVID-19? What's working well for you? And what have you learned through this time that's going to help you continue to grow and thrive once we move past this?
Yeah, so the first thing I did, we were already in a great space as far as my business. Most of my business was virtual and online anyway, so there wasn't a huge shift there. But I immediately took a look and I pushed the pause button on acquiring new clients and new customers initially. And so I pushed the pause button on that and said, okay, I have clients and customers that need me right now. They need my focus dialed. They need everything that I got. My family needs me. My clients need me. And that's where my focus needs to be versus out obtaining and acquiring new clients during this kind of crazy, this is in the beginning in February and March. And so current clients that were already paying me recurring monthly fees for a certain service, I ended up giving them extras. Like I was just working with the owner and the GM. I ended up creating a 12-week sales course so that I could help serve their salespeople over the next 12 weeks while we went through this transition. I sent them out, some extra gear and cleared my calendar for any calls that they needed to talk about PPP or how do we handle this customer or how do we handle this particular situation or this particular employee. And so I cleared my calendar to really serve my current clients for the first couple months. Something else I did on the backside of that is I unlocked my calendar to serve more, people like you. I immediately was like, I want to get on as many other people's podcasts as possible. I want to use this time to connect, bring people together, right? That word together. How can I bring people together when everything is trying to push people apart? 6 feet apart. No, you can't, you got to wear a mask. You got to do this. You can't gather. Like division of race, division of politics. Everything is pulling people apart. I was like, how do we pull people together?
Yes.
So that was my focus, man. Hook up with guys like you, do a bunch of podcasts, serve my current clients. After about 3 months, we started to shift to, okay, we can start bringing some more new clients in now. Now that we have a better pulse and so on and so forth, and we've been able to grow quite a bit over the last, over the last 6 months, my company's grown exponentially, and we're very blessed and thankful for that. But that was step one: push the pause button, serve our current clients and my family, make sure they're good, and then let's pull people together while they're trying to tear us apart. Speaking of that particular group, though, I do have to go train them in 6 minutes.
Okay. Well, thank you. So let's go ahead and wrap up. But I want to make sure that we are covering a couple important things here. One of those is hashtag rise and grind. So just give us a brief summary of that particular show, that movement, and we'll talk about how we can find that online and connect with you.
Awesome, man. Yeah, hashtag Rise and Grind is our daily morning show, Monday through Friday, 5:30 a.m. on Facebook. Of course, you can watch the replays throughout the day, or you can listen to the podcast, hashtag Rise and Grind with Glenn Lundy. But the show is motivation, education, inspiration. That's it. 30 minutes a day of motivation, education, inspiration, nothing ever negative. You're not going to find any politics. You're not going to find any of that stuff. It's a place where people come together online to lift each other up, to encourage each other, to support each other, and to just make sure everyone feels like they're a part of something bigger than self. So we started that in January of 2018. We've been going on almost 3 years here now. I did episode 742 this morning, I believe it was. 742 episodes in. And yeah, it's been really incredible, man. It started as a Facebook Live, and then the people watching the live wanted a group, so we created a group, and then they wanted t-shirts, so we created a clothing line, and then they wanted to get together, so we started creating events, and then I realized, man, there's a lot of people here, we could make an impact, and so we started doing some charitable outreach type things, and it's
Beautiful.
just evolved into an incredible way for people to start their day.
Amazing. And there's so much energy in that show. So make sure that you watch it, and you will absolutely learn. You'll be inspired and motivated. So Glenn, very briefly, what message would you like to leave our audience with?
Oh, man, there's many. I think the most important message right now for people, I think you just have to really understand that you have everything that you need in order to create greatness, impactful greatness in your life. There's a story in the Bible of the widowed woman who had nothing. And I refer to the Bible a lot. For those of you that aren't religious, I totally get that. The Bible has sold 3.6 billion copies. It is the #1 selling book of all time. The second most selling book is Harry Potter with 700 million. So just to give you an idea of the expansiveness of this Bible, right? It is an incredible book. There's a reason that it sold so many copies. And so take the religious aspects out of it. It's a roadmap for a lot of good lessons. And in that book, there's a story of a widowed woman who she lives alone, and she's raising her sons, and she has nothing. And the disciples come through and they say, "What's wrong?" She says, "I have nothing. Will you please help?" And they ask her to grab a couple bottles. There's a couple empty bottles that are in her house. And they take these bottles and they begin to pour perfume into the bottles. And as the bottles fill up, they overflow, and she grabs more bottles and more bottles from the neighbor. She's going to the neighbor's house. She's running around the whole place, getting as many bottles as she can, and until ultimately every single bottle in the village is filled with this very expensive perfume that she can turn around and sell to take care of her and her boys and generations to come. And so when it's done, when it's done, they tell her, "Okay, you have everything that you need. Go sell that, and you'll be okay." And the real lesson behind that story is that the miracle is always in what's left. Mm. You see, your miracles in life are never going to come from the people or the things that you've lost, and they're never going to come from the people or the things that you need in the future. The miracle is in what you have right now. You have it in you. Take a look around. What resources do you have? What do you have to be grateful for? Be present in this day. Don't be upset about an election. Don't be upset about a virus. Don't be upset about division. Don't be upset about these things that you cannot control. What do you have in your space right here, right now, that you can use to ultimately expand and make a positive impact in other people's lives? So that'd be the message I'd send.
Beautiful words. Thank you. And
Thanks,
where can
Jay.
we go to connect with you?
If you head to glennlundy.com, it connects to all my stuff, Rise and Grind, automotive, all that good stuff.
Fantastic. We'll link to that. Glenn, thank you so much. I'm grateful for you. Appreciate it. And I look forward to continuing to grow with you and stay connected. And for the rest of you, thank you very much for watching and listening. And to enjoy more episodes and to learn how Jay Shear Business Consulting can build a solid foundation for your service-based business, visit jshearbusinessconsulting.com. And until next time, keep learning and growing. And we'll see you on the next Business Minds Coffee Chat. Take care.